And that's what matters, that the United States is an essential market. And I don't think that until this came about, people realize how essential the United States relationship is with these other nations, right? Because people are beginning to come to the table and negotiate better rates that benefit the U.S.
You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
And welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm your host, Kerry Lutz. And, well, looking out there at the landscape, we've got these tariffs. We've got massive change occurring, not just in the United States, but across the world. Economic, technological, social upheaval. And trying to make sense of it, I'd like to go and get a variety of opinions. And we are joined by Gerson Gibbs, Senior Managing Partner of Bellite Capital and a former financial regulator who oversaw institutions like JP Morgan Chase, Wells Fargo, and UBS. Great to have you on, Gerson. So you've been focusing in on tariffs and their impact on markets and I guess on the economy. Now that we're really a few months into this disruptive course, what's your overall assessment of what the country and the world is going through now?
Well, I believe that the country is going through the transition that they were asking for, right? I think Trump was nominated by the people, and his approach is a business approach. And I think that the transition of it was a little rough in the beginning, but I think that people are beginning to understand his business approach. And I think he's doing a decent job at showing how he approaches business.
So, I used to be a major free trader, believing that you let the markets work. They work most efficiently. But that was before countries started weaponizing free trade against the United States, causing a lot of damage, a lot of dislocations, a lot of really negative side effects of free trade. What's your feeling about free trade?
I think free trade is what makes America America, right? However, like you mentioned, a lot of countries began to take advantage, and what was once something that made us powerful was starting to hurt us because people were misusing the free trade phrase that we're utilizing and just positioning themselves in a way that harmed America. So I think that the approach that he has now is a pretty decent approach, and it had to change because we were suffering because of it.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree with you. And I never, I went to school. I was an economics major for a while until I really became disenchanted with the economics department at Pace University. And
right.
I learned that free trade, Milton Friedman, free trade benefits everyone. And then all of a sudden we're seeing, it's definitely benefiting some interests, some people throughout the world, but not the United States at this point.
Correct.
So at what point, though, do you try to, at what point is too much equalization or fairness? At what point does it become unfairness?
I think we got to the unfair point. I think that, just looking at the data, the United States was suffering. And again, it could have been because of things that were there for a while and bubbled up in the last administration, and I think that, again, it needed to be changed. The country was already suffering. We were seeing the impacts of trade. Our economy was suffering. And we're seeing, just based on the changes, a little bit of uptick in the market. So, outside of all things, his approach is in some way, shape, or form working a bit.
Yeah. So America first, but really, it's really the world we're talking about, because the system that was in place really became unsustainable, didn't it?
Correct. It was just, again, I believe that because of the relationship that America has with other nations, we see it. We see it a lot more. It's a lot more intense because of our strong relationships with our allies. And trade has to be managed properly, or even though it's an ally, you can end up suffering because of that relationship, in my opinion.
All right. So, and this affects the entire world. U.S. is basically 25% of global consumption. And they keep saying, well, it's only 5% of population. Be that as it may, that 25% population, rather consumption of the world's GDP, makes the U.S. really an essential market, doesn't it?
Exactly. And that's what matters, that the United States is an essential market. And I don't think that until this came about, people realize how essential the United States relationship is with these other nations, right? Because people are beginning to come to the table and negotiate better rates that benefit the U.S. So we're seeing the importance in how these countries are trying to maneuver the tariff raise.
Yeah, and I see this also. Once upon a time, trade agreements were left to diplomats, and diplomats went all over the world, globetrotting to five-star resorts, dining at Michelin star restaurants, and the wine flowed. And they say it's very difficult. It's hard to come to these agreements. Now, with AI, you train the thing on international law, on tariffs, on logistics, and you put the agreement in there. It analyzes it, tells you where you're getting the short end of the stick, and tells you what you need to do to change it. And we can have agreements in a matter of weeks, if not months. So things have really changed, haven't they?
Oh, absolutely. AI has just changed the game tremendously. We saw it being used when Trump first came into office, and he worked with Elon, and they were just trying to utilize the AI systems to get information on how America was utilizing their funding. And they found a lot of things out very quickly. It's the same thing that's happening with these trades and other nations. AI is something that's booming around the world, and I think it's going to change business for many, many years to come.
Right. So, and we saw recently that Doge had come up with an AI tool to cut regulations, and their goal is to cut regulations by 50% by January 20th. You think that can be done?
Yeah, with all of these super chips and all of these companies and the money that's going into this technology, I definitely think it could be done by that point.
All right. Well, I think you're right. And I'm excited to the prospect of seeing things like working better, seeing the country working better. From your standpoint, your company, you're really a regulatory guru. How's this going to affect your business?
Well, it already began to impact my business. Things as simple as procedures and just efficiency. It's transition from paper to electronic to now AI. And it just makes things more efficient when new rules are put into effect. FINRA rule books are hundreds and hundreds of pages long, right? So when a new rule is put into effect, it's really difficult for these smaller broker dealers or even the bigger broker dealers to stay abreast of things. And I think that AI changes the landscape. You can type something in the AI, what's the new rules, incorporate these into the company's procedures, and it could be done within seconds. And before that it took a couple of weeks just to go through things, certain reports, independent reports that are required. It completely changed the landscape. You could review contracts. You could analyze companies a bit differently. So you can help gear your customers a lot better. So I think that the AI revolution has totally transitioned my business.
Hey, mine too, because I've been a YouTube content creator, as they like to call us, for 15 years. And finally, I put all my numbers into the AI, and it told me that they've been basically sabotaging me, restricting the distribution of my videos. And I'm not controversial, at least I believe, I believe in hard assets and as well as traditional assets. I'm not like a threat here. I'm not advocating anarchy. And yet in 5 minutes, the AI was able to tell me what I knew deep down for 15 years, that they put a lid on my business. I mean, that's pretty amazing that you could do that. And 6 of them, 6 different AIs, including their own Gemini, came up with the same exact conclusion. I mean, that's amazing, isn't it?
That is amazing. And that's hard facts. You know, these things are pulling from credible sources, right? So it just changes you. It gives you a tool that you can defend yourself with, defend your business with. And I think that's the most important. If AI is utilized correctly, it could change things for the good.
Exactly. And, you know, I'm sure the military is using it extensively. I think the entire government is kind of being taken over, or is experiencing an AI revolution. And I think you're seeing it in your business. I'm seeing it in mine. And hopefully it'll be for the better. I think certainly it's going to improve productivity and efficiency. And that's the cornerstone of economic growth in every country in the world.
Absolutely. I agree. I couldn't agree more.
So are you ever worried, though, that the AI is going to kind of basically be so good it'll put us out of jobs?
Absolutely not. You know, it's computers, right? It's still a lot of things in the world still require human touch, human knowledge, human direction. You know, I believe that the human species should be more confident in themselves and know that nothing can replace a human being. However, AI is just another tool that was given to us, and it could help us just work differently, not work the same. I would say maybe some jobs wouldn't be applicable, but I think through AI, there will be new jobs that will come into play. And those older jobs would be then replaced by those jobs.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think it's a revolution that's still unfolding, but it's so fast. You know, we've both been around for a while. Have you ever seen change happen this quickly in the world?
Absolutely not. Everything is moving at warp speed. And I believe we're just getting accustomed to a new speed, right? I think things are moving faster. And as human beings, we can definitely train ourselves to what's going on and what's happening, right? So I believe that it's new, it's fast, but we will get accustomed to it eventually. And we are getting accustomed to it. We're utilizing AI. You're utilizing it in your business, and I'm utilizing it in mine.
All right. Well, I think we'll leave it at that. Gerson, how do we find you on the web? How do we connect with you? And if there's anybody out there, representatives, companies who can use your service, where should they find you?
You can find me at www.belite, BELITE, capital CAPITAL.com. And all my information will be located on the contact page.
Excellent. And we've got a link to Belite Capital in the show notes of this interview on financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Just go there, click it, take you right to Gerson's site. And while you're there, we just ask you sign up for your free newsletter, like over 70,000 of you have. And we got a lot of great info on there that will help you make decisions. What's your feeling out there? You're seeing the AI revolution. How is it affecting you personally? I'd like to know. And how do we make it so it doesn't make human beings useless or superfluous? Gerson, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming by. We'll talk to you again soon.
Thanks, Kerry. Talk soon.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.